it's not going to work on sending the email. So when I send a code to you in the email, and you're going to use that code and validate it, and then give you the opportunity to change your password. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to prepare is going to be a code model. Okay, because we want the code to be in the database. Okay, because simply when you get that code in the email, we're going to register that code in the database with the ID of that user. So when we're trying to use that code, we're going to make sure that that code is right and is related to your account. Okay, and every time we send a new one, we replace the other one that existed. Okay, we don't keep adding to the database. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to start by getting Mongoose. So let's require that. Okay, and then we're gonna also get the objects ID. So use it to refer to the user. So objects ID, which is gonna get from mongoose.schema. Okay, like this. So everything is fine. Now we're gonna define the schema itself. So const, let's call it code schema, and it's gonna be new mongoose.schema. Okay, and you're gonna define the objects. So first thing is going to be the code itself, which is going to be numbers, I think, or strings, that we're going to see. And then the type, I think, is going to be number. So because type here is number. Okay, like this, and sure is going to be required. So that's for sure. So maybe required and added true like this to make sure that it's been used. Okay, user, and then the user is simply going to be type. It's going to be object ID. We're going to use just refer to the type here. We're going to refer to the actual user. So right here, we're just going to add the reference. So the reference is going to go simply to the user. Okay, and also it's required true like this. Okay, and then maybe you can get the timestamp or not. I don't think it matters. Maybe we don't need them this time. I guess I don't think we need them. So model.exports equal mongoose dot model. So we're going to define the model, which is going to be calling its code, and then we're going to add the schema, which is going to be called schema. Okay, so everything's fine. I don't think I have a problem with the server. Let me just see. Everything is working fine. Come on, I know it's not protected. Piece off. Okay, now we're going to go to the mailer itself, and in the mailer we're going to define the function that's going to send the emails. Let me go to the helpers, I think, and then mailer. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this function. Okay, like this, and this function is going to take the email. Okay, and then it's going to take the name and also going to take the code, because this time it's going to be a code, and this time it's not going to be Facebook email verification. Let me just call it reset Facebook password. Okay, as a disclaimer, we're not trying to use Facebook or anything. We're just creating a clone, and I'm trying this for educational purposes. Don't jail me, please. And then we're gonna go to the link itself. Okay, this is hello name, it's fine. Let's look. Okay, so this one is the URL. So the href is not gonna have any URL. Okay, it's not gonna go anywhere, and simply inside that URL, let me just go confirm your account. Instead of that, we're just gonna pass the code right here. Okay, like this. So this is gonna be the code. So simply pass the code. Okay, now everything is fine, I think. So when we send the email, we're gonna see how it looks. Okay, so that's the first thing. Also, now we're gonna create the function itself. So let me go to the, what is it, controllers, and then the user. Okay, so right here we're gonna have a function. Let's call it exports dot let's call it, for example, send receipt password code. Okay, it's gonna be an async function, request response, try catch as always. And then copy that for the server internal error, and they try. Let me just see. So first of all, we're gonna send the email in the body. Okay, and then we're gonna go simply and get the user. So we're gonna find this. We've done this before. It's just from here. Okay, this one, like that, like this. Okay, and now we're gonna go to the database and see if anyone that has the same, has this user. We're gonna remove that code from the database. Okay, so we're gonna go right here and wait. I'm gonna go to code, and then I'm gonna go find one and remove. So this is to remove from the database. Okay, using Mongoose, and then right here we're just gonna pass the attribute that you wanna remove with, which is gonna be the user. We're gonna remove with this user right here, this property, and then what's the value that we're gonna use to remove with? We're gonna look for it by using the user ._ ID, which is we're gonna get from the database after we get using the email to find this. Okay, and then right here now we're gonna generate a code. So we're gonna go const code, and then we're gonna create a function. It's called generate code. Okay, and this function, it's a function that is like flexible a bit, so you can define like how much you want, to generate the length of it, and then you can use that to generate whatever you want. Okay, so we're gonna create this function, generate code. Let me take the name of it. Let's go to helpers, and we just create a new file right here, .js. Okay, so let me maximize this so you can see better. Close this. Okay, this is gonna be export default function. Okay, this is gonna call generate code. That's gonna take a length attribute or a prop or whatever you call it, and then we're gonna have variable code. This is the code that we're gonna generate at the end. Okay, and let me just remove var. I just don't like using it. Just use console let. Okay, and then we're gonna define the schema. And the schema is going to be simply the type of characters that we're going to allow. Okay, so we're going to allow 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm only allowing numbers. If you want to like allow A, B, you can only type the characters that you want. And simply you're going to have a function that only goes 10 times or whatever the length that we have right here. So it's going to go through that. Or just going to be, for us, it's just going to be like 5. Okay, because we defined the length to be 5. Okay, this is all we have. And then we're going to go through that function five times, and the function is only gonna do, it just randomly picks a random character from here. So that's all we're gonna do. So simply gonna go for, okay, and then we're gonna go starting from let I, which is gonna start from 0, and then stops at the length that we pass. So if we're gonna pass, simply for this example is gonna be 5. If you want 10, this is up to you. And then I plus plus. So simply right here, all we're gonna do, just listen to me. We're gonna go to the code, and we're gonna plus equal to keep adding to it every time we do a loop. So simply gonna go to the schema that we have, and then simply look for char at. So we're gonna get a certain character, okay, but we're gonna get it randomly. You can like pick 0, that's gonna return 0. 1 is gonna be pick the number 1, okay, not the number, but this is like the index of it. So we're gonna generate a random index, okay, that starts from 0 to 9 or 0 to 10 depending on how the length of the schema is. So we're gonna go simply math.floor, okay, and they're gonna go inside this math.random, okay. This is generates a number between 0 and close to 1, not 1, and then we're gonna multiply this with the length of this schema, okay. So we're gonna multiply it with the schema dot length, and this is simply what we're gonna do. It's just simply gonna go and pick a random index depending on the length of this. So for example, the length of this is 10, okay, so this is the length. So it's gonna give us an index randomly between 0 and 10, and then the char at is gonna give us from that index. For example, character at, this returns for example 2, and then it's gonna go to 2, so 0, 1, 2, and it's gonna give us this 2 and add it to the code, and it's gonna do it 5 times, and this is all we simply done. And then in the end, we're just gonna return the code. It's not really hard function. If you have any problems and you didn't understand it, you just can, simply send me a message or anything. I'm just going to explain it again to you, maybe in a call or anything, okay? I don't have any problems. I'm ready to challenge everything I write, okay? And then we're going to go right here and then import it. And now we get the generate code. Okay, now we want to create the code itself. So I don't think it will need it. Let me just, add it. So let's call it const saved code, okay, and this is going to be await, okay, and then it's going to be new code. So we're going to now save a new code in the database, okay, and then the new code is going to be simply this, and we're going to define the properties of it. So the code, as they see, this is the properties of the code when it creates, like an object. So the first one is going to be code, and the code is simply going to be the code that we generated, so this one, okay, and then we want to also send the user, and the user is simply going to be the user dot underscore ID, because we want right here the ID and not a string or anything. So this is all we're going to do, and then after this we're going to just call the function that's going to send the email. Let me just call the function, which is going to be this one, send, not this one, okay, we need to change the name of it, okay, this is going to be, okay, send reset code. I've changed it. I've changed everything here, okay. This is, let me just search for it. I don't know, changes, okay, everything is fine. I was like, I forgot to change the name of the function. Okay, so we're gonna take this function and we're gonna go back right here to the user, and we're gonna call that function, okay, and it's simply the same function. It takes the email, okay, which is we passed in the request body, or you can just get it in the database, so it's more consistent. And then also we're gonna pass the first name, which is gonna be user dot first name, okay, and also we need to pass the code, which is the code like this. So this is simply all we needed to do, okay, and then we're gonna return. Let me just go, we have anything, okay, we have this. Let me just go right here. We're gonna just return, instead of all of this, we're just gonna return a message, and the message simply says email reset code has been sent to your email, okay. Now I think we've done everything right here. We can go now to the routes, we define it, we can define it to the user. This is, you know, pretty simple. Go back right here. It's going to be for let's call it send reset code verification. Okay, I need to copy that because I'm not gonna able to remember this. Reset code verification, and the function, what did we call it? Send reset password code. Yeah, maybe we can just give him the same name. Okay, let's make it easier. And then we're gonna write here and then import it. Let's open, and now everything is not fine. Let me go back right here. So this is where this is problem. Oh, export default function generates code. Okay, I know where this is the problem. Let's go back to the where is it, generates code. This is just gonna be okay. I know it's the problem. We are not working in the front end, okay? So this is not the actual way how you do it, okay? This is good. This is because sometimes you do it the same at the front end, but it's actually not like this, okay? Now we're gonna go backwards here, model exports, okay, and it's equal to generates code. This is how you do it in the backend, okay? So difference between the front end and the backend, okay? And now everything is fine. So good that I made this mistake, so you understand now. It's different between using it in the front end and the backend. So in pure Node.js, this is how it's done, but in React, you can just simply use export defaults functions, okay? I made it unintentionally, but you know, we fixed it. So now everything is done in the backend. Sorry, let me just close everything, and now close the backend, and let's go to the front end and see what we need to do. So going back to the front end, and in the send email function, or the send email component, in this button we don't have a form, so let me just remove this submit and change it to on click. Okay, and it's going to be simply another function that's going to call it send email. So we're going to call that, and we're going to create this function. So right here, it's going to be an async function. Again, as of a try catch. Also, one of the things that we need to send some few data also. So some few, okay, my English broke, so it's gonna send few data. So let me just get it from here. So we're gonna use the state visible, the loading, and the error. So let me just take them and paste them right here, and just remove the set user infos. Maybe you can, you just can't. Okay, just remove that. Maybe we can just like also set them to you know, to nothing after we just send. Okay, so we can just allow for new users to send. Okay, yeah, it's not a big deal. Right here, the error, and then set error, and then also we're gonna have set visible, and then set user infos like this. So, and also the loading, did we pass the loading? It's also important, and also set loading. Okay, we passed the loading. Okay, we passed everything, so now it's fine. So in the error, you simply set the error and set first of all the loading to be false. I'm gonna use like spinners in the end. I'm gonna just add them. It's gonna be beautiful because the beginning rounded and the edge, so it's gonna look cool. And then we're gonna go to set error, and then we're gonna simply the same way error dot response, and then go to the data and then the message. Okay, the variable is universal, we use to call it message like this. And then right here we're gonna set the loading to be in the beginning true, okay, like this, before everything starts. So simply we're gonna just await because we're not gonna get any data right now. Okay, we're just gonna be simply awaiting, and then we're gonna use Axios. We can import it, that's good. Then it's gonna be post, and then we're gonna use backtext, then process.env. You know, I'm using the variables because if you want to like have a front end, you know, hosted, you can just simply change that in the env and not go to a single file, every single one of them, and then change it. Okay, that's gonna be hell. Backend URL is gonna be /2 what? I forgot. So let's go to the backend. I told you I'm gonna forget, and I did it. So right here, at least I'm consistent. Well, this is how it's gonna be. Let's go back right here. It's gonna be /this, and so we're gonna send it, just gonna be the email. Okay, that we have. So the email we need to send it here also. Okay, we didn't. So we need it. Go back to the index and also send the email. We didn't. So Let me send the email also like this. Okay, so let's go back to the sent email. Now let's see if everything is all right. Then if everything is all right, send the error, set the error to nothing, and then also set the visible to 2. And the visible 2 is gonna be, let me just check. So the visible 2 is gonna be when you wanna add the code, if everything went fine. If not, we're just gonna have an error. So maybe we can just show the error. I don't know if I did it or not. Maybe after everything. So after the write, after everything, right here. If we have an error, I don't know if I done it or not. Probably not. So it's gonna be error text, and it's gonna have the error. So let me change the value of the error and see if we're gonna see it. So let's go to error and put something there. What is it? Okay, so let's see if it looks all right. Like this. Okay, so how it's gonna look. Okay, so that's fine. So if we have an errors, let me just change the state to 2 and not to 1. Sorry, it's not gonna show right now because we don't have anything in the info. So let me just add that. Let me just remove the, okay, in the user info add something. So now, okay, so it shows, because if you remember right here, we're only gonna show the sent email if we only have the visible is 1, also the user info is something. I'm just doing it manually just to show you if what's gonna look like. Okay, so this is the error how it's gonna look. It doesn't look all right, so let me just go to the send email, go right here, and maybe just add a style, padding left, okay, and then maybe like 10 pixels. Okay, maybe just add like an overall padding, that would be way better. Okay, like this. Okay, and then go back to the index and remove everything from the error and everything from the user infos. Okay, like this. Okay, and now let's remember and move everything to the, where is it, the visible, make it to 0. This is gonna be in, where is it? Okay, this one. I'm actually blind. So now let's test this and see if we have any problems, any typos, which probably we would. So let me just get the email that we're gonna use, which is this one, which is the same one. I'm opening the email, so let me copy that and let's search for it. So it's been found, so click continue, and the first one, okay, code is not defined. So the model code is not defined. Go back to the controllers, user, right here. Let me just see if we import it. Okay, so a few things we need to, what is this, the one here? Let me remove that. Also, you don't need to add default. We only use model.export, which is exported by default, so you don't need to do that. Also the user right here, this is gonna be the code now. I'm gonna import that. Okay, like this. Let me just see the function send reset code. We don't have it, so let me import this function also. Now we have it. Let me open the console and Magnus in code. Let me just go back to code and let's see. Okay, this is gonna be mongoose. Okay, this is a typo, so let's see now if everything is all right. So let's try again. Let me see, this is, we have no emails right here, empty. Okay, let's click continue. Okay, and now we get, redirected to the code page, and let me see if we get an email. Okay, go back right here, we wait, we don't have any errors right here. Let me see the database, if everything created or not, the code. Okay, the code's created. Okay, and the email is come. Okay, let me just refresh the codes, and we don't have any code right here. Let me just go view, reload data. Okay, so we don't have any code right here in the database, and we got an email with that code. So the only problems that we have is we didn't have the code in the database. Okay, so we didn't create it in the database. So let me just go back right here to the user itself. So const code generates code, and then saved code, await new code, and then we pass the code, and then user. Okay, so we didn't save it right here. Okay, just await new but didn't save it, like this. Okay, so now let me go back right here and go and try again. So let me just go back. Okay, go back to the reset page. We're gonna control the others. Let me just go back and get the email. Okay, go back right here. Fixing problems is a part of the job. Okay, search, we find everything, continue. Okay, we get to the code. Let me see if now created. Okay, we created it now. This is the code, which is 54415, which is 5 digits. Okay, and the ID of the user. Go back to right here. We get a new email. Let's open it, and this is the code, which is the same one that we have in the database. Okay, so now if we send again, we're gonna replace that. Okay, this is gonna be changed, and this one is no longer used. Okay, this is not gonna be valid. So let me try that again. So let me refresh that. Okay, use that again, then continue. Let me refresh, look at this code, let me see if it changes, and now it changes. And if you go back to your email, back to list, okay, let's wait a little bit. I don't want to use Gmail, so I'm just using a temporary one. Okay, we get the third one and go back right here, and then we got the new code that we have in the database. So everything is working fine till this point, so let's continue.